Well, there is still kryptonite in Columbus, and it wears maize and blue. A game that we really did expect to go the Buckeyes' way this time around. Number 2 in the country, nearly 3 touchdown favorites against their arch rival in the game. But the only thing crazier than how it went was maybe what happened afterward as we check out the highlights. As Ryan Day entered 1-3 against Michigan, had them fired up. So did Sharon Moore for his first lap as head coach in this thing. But BJ, Max Bredesen and the Wolverines and that defense, they came to play. Kalel Mullings, he gets stopped on 4th and 1, but then the defense makes a huge play here.
Yeah, this is surprising. Will Howard making the mistakes he did in this ball game, but only multi-interception game of the season, and it comes in the biggest game of the season. Kalel Mullings and the offensive line, they redeemed themselves by punching it in after being stopped on 4th and 1. Then a big hit on Will Howard there, and he would go in the 10, and Ohio State gets on the board with a field goal. But Michigan came to play, as you said. These are rivalry games, and it never matters what your record is. And it doesn't matter what you did a year ago or 2 years ago. It matters what you do right now.
Well, Michigan made field goals, and Ohio State actually was missing them.
Yes.
Luckily, Will Howard was able to come back in this game, and in a clutch spot before the half, he does deliver the touchdown here to tie things up, AT, hitting Jeremiah Smith right there. But this game was much more about the Michigan defense in big spots.
They stepped up huge with turnovers, with third down stops. They just were masterful in the second half. Ohio State only had 97 yards and no points in the final 2 quarters of this game, but early on we saw Ohio State's defense make some hay, but to your point, the missed field goals and the miscues. More games are lost than won, and Ohio State proved that today.
Yeah, the exchange of interceptions, and then another one where Michigan was in position to go on top, even just get the field goal, and instead Jack Sawyer makes a huge interception, but Ohio State gives the ball back, and the Wolverines offense getting the big yards late, Rick.
A unbelievable chain of events right here, forcing timeouts to be called. Ryan Day has to call a timeout that he isn't allowed to. You can't call 2 timeouts in a row any longer. They give up a 5-yard penalty. That would lead to this field goal. You can see how much time's left on the clock, and they were unable to generate any sort of drive to get down there and tie the game.
And Michigan now takes the flag to the center of the field, doing what Baker Mayfield did once upon a time. Ohio State taking exception with that. There were also gestures that were made, and then the fight breaks out. Police had to use pepper spray to break this up. You can see the melee, and it's everywhere throughout the center of that field. Here's Ryan Day about the fight after the game.
Yeah, I don't know all the details of it, but I know that, these guys, are looking to, put a flag on our field, and our guys weren't going to let that happen. So, I'll find out exactly what happened, but, this is our field, and certainly, we're embarrassed with the fact that we lost the game, but, there's some prideful guys in this team that weren't just going to let that happen.
And had this still been in the era of the 4-team playoff, Ohio State would be toast. Instead, it's about this rivalry, and Ryan Day now 1-4 against Michigan, losing this thing 13-10. Where do they go from here, especially with Coach?
Well, you just mentioned that the playoffs are still there, and the likelihood is that Ohio State's going to get a chance to play in those playoffs. Whether it's a home game or not, we'll wait and see. But they have to find a way to get over this mystique that Michigan has over them right now. Offensively, they were woeful. You can't put 250 yards of offense in this game and miss field goals. You just can't do that. You're going to lose those games. I don't know exactly, did they play tight? Did they coach tight?
Seemed like it.
I don't know, but we've said that there's very little joy in this program despite having all the wonderful things that college football has to offer.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to the melee after the game. You don't allow that to happen on your home field. It's a rivalry game. Emotions are at an all-time high, understand. You just defeated us, but we're not going to allow you to disrespect us. So I can understand why things got out of hand there. As far as Ryan Day, the NIL expenditures, all the hype coming into the season, the seniors who said, I'm coming back, I'm foregoing the NFL because I have not defeated that team, Michigan, from the north, and now they still have that bad taste in their mouth. I don't know if the man loses his gig or not, but I agree with, he probably has to win out, and winning out is a national title. But, yeah, they do seem tight, and there doesn't seem to be any joy, even when they win. I don't see any joy coming from the top of this program. Man, you're so limited. Your opportunities are limited. And to be at a program of that magnitude, you should enjoy the hell out of that.
Yeah, man, you look at what this roster is comprised of. The best running back room in the country. Will Howard's a winning quarterback, somebody you can win with. All those playmakers on the defensive side of the football. There's going to be a lot of NFL draft
And defense played fine today.
They did play fine. But in the fourth quarter, Rick, they gave up 77 rush yards. Ohio State was only able to muster 9, right? This smacks of what happened in 2021, where all of a sudden, late in the game, Michigan takes over. And I think because of that, the pain that this fan base feels, the pain that this administration may feel, especially with some of the NIL moves that Michigan, who's having a down season and looking to rebuild, is having, it's going to make it really hard to be able to keep an extremely good, capable, and talented coach. Everybody wants to be national champions, but not everybody's capable of doing and producing what's required to do so. Ryan Day is a phenomenal football coach, but it's going to be really hard for him to navigate this without making a lot of noise, including winning the college football playoff.
Are you saying national champs to keep his job?
Yeah.
He could get to the semis.
He has entered John Cooper territory. John Cooper beat everybody when he was head coach of Ohio State, except for whom? Whom could he not beat? Yes. And that was Michigan. That's where Ryan Davis.
And I'll say this. I was at practice, and John Cooper was at practice, and we were talking about, he said, I'd still be coaching here if I could beat that team up north. Yes. Ha, ha, ha. We were having jokes. But it's not just something we're talking about. That's a real thing. Rightly or wrongly, I'm not judging it, but based on history and what you just said, that's what it's leaning towards.
Ryan Day came into this season with an unbelievable winning percentage. The teams that he'd lost to had almost all been in the top 10. So there's no reason logically to be making a coaching move. But he has to loosen up. Not loosen up on the details of coaching, but he has to loosen up so his team can play much looser than they've played in this game. This is a tight team. It played tight. It's done that the last 4 years, and that's why they find themselves in this predicament.
Who should he talk to?
Oh, I don't know who you talk to. It's his own personality that has to evolve, and he has to realize that this is a game. It's a fun game, and he needs to impart that to his players. Does it mean that we have to focus? Absolutely. Do we have to take it seriously? Absolutely. But you have to enjoy it along the way. He just seems as if this is like needles being stuck in his eyes, and his team played tight. And it felt like the whole crowd was tight.
And maybe you could talk to BJ, because he was pretty loose yesterday.
Well, he's getting set for Texas against Texas A&M.
You can always count on him.
That's what that's about.
Count on him.
That's what that's about. But by the way, it is amazing.
I don't wish that on anyone.
23 straight years that the
Even
team
your
who wins
son.
the running battle
Who was dealing with
wins
the
the game. We are out of here.